I don't know if you knew this, but if you actually go and try to buy physical gold bullion right now, you can't really get delivery. I think there is a disconnect going on in this market that I'm trying to find reason in, and this is going to, unfortunately, really hurt Americans' portfolios.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Yankee Stacking. And today I'm talking with Johnathan More, CEO and Chairman of Starr Peak Mining. And I am super excited to do this interview for two reasons. First, this junior mining company, Starr Peak Mining, is doing insanely well, even with the recent drop in gold and silver prices. So right now it is totally bucking the trend, and you're going to find out why. But the second reason I'm so jacked to do this is because for the first time ever, my son, Lil Stacks, is going to join me on this interview.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
It's great to have you aboard, man.
Yeah.
And you've shown some interest, I should say, in these interviews over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, they sound pretty cool. I mean, you always talk about them at dinner. And I'm just waiting for us to go and actually explore one of these mines, you know?
You mean actually go in person?
Oh, yeah.
Fly out?
That'd be sick.
Oh, that would be epic.
Yeah.
Do you think Johnathan would let us do that? Fly up to Quebec?
Quebec, oh, that'd be nice.
No, I think it's fantasy, but I like how you think, son. In fact, if you like Lil Stacks' idea, please hit the like button right now on this video. Do it now before you forget. So, Lil Stacks, do you know what the Yankee Quadrant is?
Yeah, I mean, it's your way of figuring out whether a mining company is worth investing in, right? There's like four things you evaluate them on.
That's right. Four things: management, projects, ownership, and financials. And you know, Lil Stacks, I'm not going to just let you sit there passively during this interview. You're going to have to ask Johnathan More at least one of those four things. Maybe the projects, because that's really cool, right? I always have fun talking about the projects, and Starr Peak has some great ones. But we always have to tell the viewers something, Lil Stacks. This is a junior mining company. Starr Peak's stock price is super volatile by nature. So if everything goes well, Lil Stacks, you can make a lot of money on this thing. But there is a risk of losing money too. So I always tell people, do their own homework. Only invest if you're willing to lose some money.
Right, yeah, be careful.
Yep. That said, oh man, you are joining me on a really hot junior mining company interview, dude. Starr Peak is already a success story.
Well, then let's stop wasting time.
All right, let's do it. All right, welcome, Johnathan. Thanks so much for joining Yankee and my
Thank
son,
you for having me on.
Lil Stacks.
Nice to meet you, bud.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you too.
we're both excited about your company. But first, this is a stacking channel. We're part of a wonderful precious metals YouTube community. We love gold and silver. In fact, I got to ask you, are you a stacker?
I am. I have had a gold bug in me for 3 decades. I'm a
Wow.
Canadian background, born in Canada, now live in the United States. But I've always loved the shiny stuff, gold and silver, and now obviously copper and some of these base metals.
Yep.
And, I don't know if you knew this, but if you actually go and try to buy physical gold bullion right now, you can't really get delivery. There's a lot of gold bullion, which the premium, first of all, is going to be through the roof, but buying it, there's a shortage. So, I mean, it's a little bit surprising considering the gold price keeps going down. So how could there be a shortage? But
It's a great question. First of all, you brought up shortage. Do you believe there is a silver and or gold shortage right now?
I think there is a disconnect going on in this market that I'm trying to find reason in. And to be quite honest with you, what do they say? The definition of insanity is waking up every morning and doing the same thing, expecting different results. And for the life of me, I'm very well versed in this. I was a stockbroker, an investment advisor, investment banker for 2 decades, and I think I know the market, but I really cannot understand where this disconnect is happening. And I'm going to stick to what I know, and that is, just don't change your mindset. Just stick to what your what you've been schooled and the simple supply demand models.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully some sense is going to come back into these markets that will make us look smart.
Why do you think gold and silver took such a massive hit since last Friday?
Um, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I will throw the element in, and I don't understand how we have just today in the United States, they just passed a $1 trillion uh, bill, or injection of capital into the marketplace, into the economy, and that's also tied to another 3.5 trillion, which is a landlock. I mean, it's not even really going to be voted on. It's just going to be put through, in my mind.
Yep.
So since when you know that is happening, you knew that these events were going to happen, does gold sell off to the tune that it did when you're injecting close to $5 trillion in extra money on top of what we've just been released into COVID? It doesn't add up. And I think I can't explain it. And I'm just using these drops, as we've seen, as buying opportunities. I think it's going to find some point where we'll just find the bounce, and I think we're going to be back to the highs that we saw when we saw it throughout COVID, or when we were hitting those 2,200 numbers,
Right.
and then a lot higher from there on in. We should never be in this position to begin with. I mean, here we are, we're hedging against the U.S. dollar more or less, and I couldn't think of a more anti-American thing to do. I really, I back this country. I never bet against the Fed, that whole saying, but it's so blatantly obvious what these guys are doing, and they're just being so narrow-minded. I mean, I just was, before we came on this show, I just saw that Tyson Foods and Shake Shack are raising prices. I mean, so this is going to, unfortunately, really hurt Americans' portfolios. And not everyone has the ability to daily look at the market and daily look at ways to protect yourself against hedges of inflation. And I just think it's really unfortunate that this is happening, and these politicians are playing this game for their benefit, not Americans' benefit.
Well, we steer it back towards your company, Starr Peak Mining, and I think Lil Stacks, you have a question?
Yeah. So, my father, he has 4 factors he considers when looking to invest in a mining company. He calls it the Yankee Quadrant. You got to trademark that, by the way.
Yeah, probably should.
But it's management, projects, ownership, and financials.
Those cover all the bases. Well done. So I'm my nature, my business is purely in the marketplace, financial. I started very young as a stockbroker in Canada for Canaccord Capital at the time. I believe it's Canaccord Adams now, or it keeps changing names, but I believe it's Canaccord Adams. And in 2008, I was lucky on the front where I could. I did a transaction that I didn't have to go to, do my daily job as a kind of investment banker anymore. So I kind of left and retired young, and I then parlayed it into basically just putting projects together. And I go where the money flows.
Mm-hmm.
So over those times, I've been involved in several oil and gas deals. I've been in several mining projects, cannabis projects. But really, in the last 2 years, I've focused every bit of my attention into the metals and mining market. Success breeds just amazing people. And when we started, I mean, everyone that was in our domain, from our CFO, who's just a very bright chartered accountant up in Canada, Cyrus Driver, multiple successes in the mining game and other sectors as well. But he's definitely been in the market for 40-50 years and served on the board as CFO of several mining companies. We've got a fellow that lives in Vancouver, but from Quebec, where our project is, Ron Bourgeois, who sat on several boards as well. Just very good corporate governance. Also speaks the language, and that helps me out on a few of these Zoom calls. I know enough French to be
dangerous.
Order at a restaurant, but not when I'm going through drill results. So, and then we have an independent Reagan Glazier, who's a very young geologist, very smart. He also sits on the board of a company called Free Gold. that's kind of the management side, and these technical guys all jumped on um, voluntarily. I mean, it was basic to a point where oh, I've got this huge asset, this great asset. I think it's going to be a lot bigger, and of course, then they look at it, and then they say, okay, I want to be a part of this, and I'm really proud of that.
I'm going to turn it over to Lil Stacks. He's got a question for you.
All right.
Fire away.
So from what I've read, it looks like your company kind of piggybacked on the success of another company, Amex Exploration. They had hit on some gold, and you bought the New Metal property right next to them, right?
Yeah, we bought a couple properties. Yeah, and the first one was the New Metal, and then we took it a step further, and then we purchased the past producing Normetal mine, which was a huge feat for a company of our stature, and managed to kind of get that into the mix. So when you have Amex, we have, if you go east of Amex, we own it all, on trend, on strike, all in this Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which is the prolific mining area of Quebec. This is the place where elephants are, if you're looking for big deposits, and all the majors are basically operating, and there's production by these majors all in this belt.
Like the old saying says, the best place to mine is next to a successful mine, right? I mean, it's location, location, location.
You nailed it. Well, I like the saying, these mines and discoveries, they're not orphans. There's always brothers nearby. And so Amex was attracted to this area by this past producing Normetal mine, which we own. This was the one we picked up as we picked up New Metal, and this was one we picked up right after. Historically produced 10.1 million tons of zinc, copper, gold, silver. One of the major stories, produced all through the 1900s. And it stopped production in the early 1980s when base metals prices fell out. So that's why Amex went there to begin with. Mm-hmm. So then what did Amex do? Well, they started drilling. And what did they find? A big gold discovery, massive, high grade. They've got 30 million in cash now. Like 200, 300,000 meters of drilling been done, building a huge resource. But it's predominantly gold. But we, because of that success, and we were early investors in that company as well, I might add, so we knew the area. We liked the area. There's infrastructure in the area. And I love area plays. I love building up, just mining camps and stories. I've been very successful at it over the years. And then we got a hold of ours, and we drilled, and we didn't, we found actually something better than just a gold discovery. We found this big VMS style deposit, which is kind of the holy grail in my mind. Yeah.
So Amex Exploration hits this epic hole with gold, right? And before they even announce it, you grab the adjoining land package. They started at like 6 cents. They went to $3.90. It was like a 6,500% increase over like 3 years. They just shot up. You, on the other hand, you haven't even doubled in your price yet. You found what a lot of people call the holy grail of the mining world, a rare VMS deposit with all kinds of precious and base metals.
Hold on, Dad. What does VMS mean?
Volcanogenic massive sulfides. It's obviously flowed and formed from volcanoes, the fluids from the volcanoes. Predominantly, well, they're very rich in base metals, so copper, zinc, lead, also precious metals, gold and silver. Typically, you get a long production life from VMS style deposits because the formation of them are done in really closely closed, like very pods and clusters of really rich metals or minerals, and very easy to get at. And the cost profile as well for a miner or a mining company is so much greater, because not only do you just get gold or whatever from a gold company, you get all of the metals, zinc, copper, silver, whatever it might be. So you add them all up, and that's obviously more profit for the mining company, which in turn is good for the investor or shareholder of the company. To throw things into perspective, there's 350 historical VMS mines or discoveries. Let's call it discoveries in Canada historically. There haven't really been any in the last decade, so this is why we have a lot of attention. This is, obviously an occurrence which, when people see, they generally like to jump all over and really investigate further, and that's really what's happened with us.
Right.
Majors have already reached out to us early, and that's what, again, the excitement from this is like, just from where we were and where we started a year and a half ago to where we are now. It's incredible. And then I think worldwide there's 800 known VMS deposits. And they produce, I believe, in Canada, 27% of all copper production, 49% of zinc production, and 40% of all silver production come from these VMS deposits or mines in Canada. Huge makeup of the total the total production levels for those, minerals.
In Lil Stacks, I just want to tell you too, because I've been looking at a variety of juniors all around the world, and when it comes to like jurisdiction, location that we were talking about, love Canada, love Quebec. I mean, it's a safe jurisdiction. It's like the mines contain one of the most diverse collection of metals in the world. I think only 1% of it is being mined, and only like 5% is covered by mining rights. So this is like the mecca of gold and silver and iron, nickel, titanium, copper, zinc.
Everything's pro mining. The government's great.
Yep.
A lot of incentives, tax breaks for some, flow through financings, whatever it might be. The infrastructure is in place. You have every major in place. And, I laugh because we're dealing with Canadian, I call it the Canadian peso, the Canadian dollar. So I'm drilling this stuff for $190 a meter all in. That's
Right.
including lab work. Or if I was doing this in South America, I'd be looking at $400 or $500. I mean, it's cheaper than chips. And that's where you want to have a discovery. And that's operating wise, it's just, you couldn't logistically get any better than where we are. We know we have a discovery. The question is, how big is this going to be? And we've only scratched the surface of this first property that we're enduring on.
They announced yesterday that their drilling had gone from like 40,000, I believe, meters to 60,000 meters, right?
Yeah, I think
that was yesterday?
that's a big one. Yeah, that was, when did we put that out? I think it might have been yesterday. Yeah, 60,000 meter drill program, fully funded. What we've seen by just scratching the surface so far is that we are hitting almost identical zones and grades at exactly the same depths, a little bit off, with faulting and everything, but it looks like we have a mirror deposit. And what that means is that if you look at one, you're looking at the other, and we believe we believe that, this is a repeat of that massive producing structure or mine. And we are, and not only that, we have way more land to hit and drill, and technology is different now. I mean, we're able to, if they had the technology we're drilling with today back then, that thing might have produced 20 million tons.
Could you just touch on your share structure? How much of your company stock is owned by management and other insiders?
So management, I think directly 35 to 40. Management and insiders, I think, is 35 to 40, 45, somewhere. Let's call it 40. The last two rounds have been done with some big institutions, early investors in Amex, I might add. Every institution, by the way, averaged up their share price on every financing. So that's very unique. This kind of cash position with that little amount of shares outstanding is, this is, it's very unique. So dilution, it's completely minimalized, and no debt. Don't believe in it. Don't need it. There's just doesn't make any sense to have debt when you're not making any money, because we're still, we're not in production. We're spending. We have, I believe, about I think today was about 7 million Canadian in the bank. We're fully funded for all the 60,000 meters that we announced yesterday, and really. My goal here, gentlemen, is just to keep these drills going, and we're going to get rich on this by, obviously our share price, and hopefully for a nice exit in the very near future.
What's your overall exit strategy for shareholders?
Well, so my personal feeling on this, and just got to hear me out here.
All right.
If a guy like me, say you're an investor in a junior company like a mining company, and they tell you they're going to become the next big gold, silver, copper producer, I would sell every share that you possibly have and then run for the hills, just exit. Because my view is, what does a guy like me, with the team that I have who are explorational geologists, okay, what expertise do we have in terms of going into production? And this is important to understand, because once you go into production, it's a whole new set of rules, costs, problems. It really isn't for us. It really isn't for a junior company to blossom into that and go into production. you stick to what you're good at.
Right.
And what the majors now do is they don't have any exploration where, 20, 30 years ago, they would have an exploration team and do drilling and explore. They don't do that anymore. What they do is they rely on companies like us to do the work, to do the drilling, prove up an asset, prove up the economics, do the feasibility studies, do everything, get to a point where it's on a silver platter, and then they will come in and they will buy you. That's my exit. That's what I'd like to see. And
Yep.
we have the right address, we have the right jurisdiction, we have the right type of deposit, we have the right metals behind it. We have everything going for us. And really what it comes to now is these drills will not stop, and we will just keep adding and adding and adding and just building this resource up to a point where, and by the way, we're already had in calls and interests, and we're on radars of two majors. And again, I can't tell you, but it's when you make a VMS deposit like this, they are interested and they're following us. And the only thing I'll tell them is, well, guess what, guys? The more we drill, the more expensive we're going to become. Bottom line.
Have I mentioned their stock performance, Lil Stacks? It's been incredible. The last 6 months, you're up 60%, I think. 2021, 69%. The last 12 months, up 81%. Just this last week, with all the stuff going on with silver and gold that we've been talking about in our community, you're up over 5%. It's very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of appetite. I think when these, when the gold price and silver price, which dictate the whole market for mining, by the way, as I mentioned, when that starts to move back up, which I feel it is, my gut's telling me it is, I think we'll start to get some legs on the price, and I think we'll start to obviously move back because we've hung in during a very a big pullback here.
Yeah. I'm interested. Definitely. If you are watching right now, the stock ticker for Starr Peak Mining in the U.S. is STRPF, and in Canada it's STE. So, Lil Stacks, I think people need to put Starr Peak Mining on their stock watch list. Maybe the short-term watch list if you got one, because I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks or months. This is obviously a very speculative play, as I've mentioned to you earlier, Lil Stacks. But I'm going to put all their info in the description below. Definitely check them out.
Yeah.
That's great, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. And Lil Stacks, very, very impressed with your questioning.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me be a part of the interview.
Yeah. Thank you, Johnathan. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. God bless. Thank you. You guys take care.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this interview with the CEO of Starr Peak Mining. Dude, you did great.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Don't forget to comment and like below.
Oh, the likes are going to be for me, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. And as always, I hope your day is A-OK.